If for some reason the direct pressure and elevation didn't work, and we're still talking about a low volume capillary or a low to medium volume venous bleed, or if that didn't work, I'm going to upgrade to a wound packing and pressure dressing. Or if this is a high volume venous bleed where I'm losing a lot of blood quickly, I don't have time to sit here and wait that 10 minutes while I'm losing blood still and losing that precious volume. I don't have time to wait that 10 minutes to see whether or not direct pressure worked. I can kind of tell if it's a high volume of blood that I'm losing that I need to kind of upgrade immediately to wound packing and a pressure dressing. So with or without a hemostatic agent, it kind of works the same. If you have something like quick clot and you can intervene with that quickly, then go ahead and do so. And this is impregnated gauze. It's already S-rolled. What you want to do with your wound packing, and this is a very shallow wound, but we do have a wound cavity here, all right? Understand that we're not just a bag of blood that you can sew a hole shut like you're sewing up an air mattress, or patch a hole like an air mattress, or using duct tape or sutures or anything like that. The blood has to be in the vessels to be delivered to the tissue, right? So just covering this wound up as kind of a fix it and forget it kind of thing doesn't work. You need to pack material all the way down into that cavity, because that needs to be up against the actual ruptured vessel to actually effectively stop the bleed. So we're going to fill that entire wound cavity with this clotting agent, and you're going to pack it as tightly as you possibly can. And that puts that clotting agent and this impregnated gauze right down against the actual bleeding vessel, and that's going to be a lot more effective at stopping the bleed. And you want to pack this as tightly as you possibly can. So when we cover this with a pressure dressing, we want to apply that pressure directly down into that cavity against those vessels. So once that's packed, you can take the rest of it, keep it in a ball, and put that directly on top. Now from there, maintain that pressure and just get you some gauze if you need additional material to pack into this wound. If you don't need additional material, you can go straight to either an Israeli dressing or an emergency trauma dressing. I'll start with the Israeli first. Pull that out of the package. I'll pick those up later. And when you open up your dressing, it's another reason to carry shears. When you open up these dressings, you're going to find that you have kind of the beginning, and then you have a reasonably sterile or reasonably clean section right here. That section needs to go directly over that. And then the newer Israeli dressings actually have a stitch that kind of holds that in place, so that if you're working one-handed and you drop that, this doesn't go down into the dirt. So you take that and place it directly over the wound. You're trading this pressure for that. Maintain that pressure with your thumb and begin to wrap this around the bottom. Now I want this pressure bar to end up directly on top of that wound, so I need to adjust it a little bit. Probably about right there. And then I'm going to start wrapping this around. And this is kind of a tug to a trade pressure. So you're pulling pressure with the dressing to replace the pressure you're putting down here. You're going to drop that directly into the pressure bar. And then you're going to pull the opposite direction. And when you pull the opposite direction, this pressure bar will go from laying flat to being vertical, and that needs to be directly down on top of the wound, just like that. Then you're going to begin wrapping. I just broke that stitch that was holding it all together. That's by design. And you want to cover both edges to keep dirt and debris out of there and keep the wound a little bit cleaner. So again, I'm tugging and wrapping to keep that pressure on. Once I get to the end, I'm going to have another cleat. I've got room to go one more. Once I get to the end, I've got another cleat here. And all you do with that is slide your finger under one section, slide that on, and then bring up the other edge with your finger and drop it into the cleat on the other side. That holds it in place. The pressure bar is directly over the wound. That wound has been packed with a clotting agent or with some regular gauze if you didn't have a clotting agent. And then from there, what you want to do is make sure that you didn't put it on too tight, right? And to check that, you can check what's called CMS, which is circulation, motor, and sensory. Typically I do that for breaks and sprains, but at a minimum, what I need to do is make sure that I still have circulation to the rest of this extremity past this actual intervention, this actual dressing right here. And to do that, you can do what's called a capillary refill. So if you push on the nail bed and release, when you push on the nail bed, it'll turn white. And when you release, it'll start to bring color back into it. It'll turn pink. So it should be back to its normal color within the amount of time it takes to say capillary refill. So push on the nail bed, capillary refill, this is good to go. If it doesn't fill up within the time it takes to say capillary refill, then this is probably too tight and you put on a bit of a tourniquet effect rather than the pressure dressing that you wanted to put on there. All right, so that is your wound packing and your pressure dressing using quick clot and an Israeli dressing, Israeli bandage in this case. Check your capillary refill, this one's good. If this is effective, you're going to recheck it every 10 minutes or so. If this is effective at controlling the bleeding, then problem solved. If this is not effective at controlling the bleeding, then your upgrade from here to stop this bleed is to move directly into a tourniquet.